Here in Denver, horses seem to be everywhere. Yet there's only one horse that brings people to their feet. His name is Thunder, and he's one of the only live mascots in the NFL.
Well, Thunder's kind of an iconic mascot. I mean, I don't know, it's rare that a team uses an actual animal as a mascot, and it's really exciting for the fans. It's become kind of staple, standard of our game day entertainment.
Thunder's owner, Sharon Magness-Blake, debuted the mascot in 1993. Since then, 3 Arabians have led the Broncos onto the field and have celebrated each and every one of their scores.
Obviously, when you think about Denver Broncos football, Thunder is a huge part of that. Sharon and Ernie, they're going to have Thunder ready to go every single Sunday. Certainly the goal is to get Thunder running a lot during the game. It means you're scoring a lot of touchdowns.
For the past 20 years, Ann Judge has been the trainer and rider of Thunder. An accomplished equestrian, Judge has competed in national-level horse show competitions and is a self-proclaimed horse philosopher.
Well, when you look at Thunder, what it represents in the Denver Broncos, the relationship that the Broncos have had with Thunder over the years with Sharon and Ernie, it's a great correlation between the two. To see the horse come running out mile high every time is always very exciting.
Off the field, Thunder has represented the Broncos at many public appearances and a variety of events around the city and across the country. He's traveled to 4 Super Bowls, has appeared on the Today Show, Fox and Friends, and even in New York's Times Square. This year, Thunder celebrates 25 years as the official mascot of the Denver Broncos. And now, here is Sharon Magness-Blake, Ann Judge, and Thunder.
What a good boy.
All right, Sharon, we're going to pass you up here. I'll be back. Come on,
Hi there, I'm Sharon Magness-Blake. Along with my husband Ernie, I'm the proud owner of all the Thunders. And it's great to be back with you all. For 25 years, we have been providing Thunder to the Broncos. And, I've had incredible experiences with horses. Thunder has been the most incredible experience. As a young girl, I grew up very poor and I was an abused child. So I escaped by reading every horse book that I could find in the library. And I wished for a home and a husband where I could keep my horses close by me. Be careful what you wish for. I had 900 a few years ago. And so we wound up with Arabians because that's what my first husband had. And so everywhere we go and we take Thunder, people say, "What kind of horse is he?"
what kind of horse is he?
And we say, "He's an Arabian." And they say, "Well, he's kind of small." I said, "Don't judge him by his size." So my husband would go up on the elevator at one of the games years ago when it was Thunder 1 and 2, and he would be on the elevator with John Madden. And John Madden would ask Ernie, literally every time he saw him, "What kind of horse is that?" And Ernie would tell him, "It's an Arabian." And so the following year, he got on the elevator with John Madden, and John said, "Hey, that horse of yours, is that a Percheron?" And Ernie said, "No, he's an Arabian." "Oh, Arabian." remember it the next time.
Well, when Uriah, I believe, called us first and asked us if we would be the keynote speakers here, and we're always so thrilled when the convention is in Denver and we can bring thunder, but to be invited to speak as well as to bring thunder, we were thrilled. And then when Uriah on the staff told us that the theme of the convention was honor, we were to the moon, because what we try to do all the time, we tell ourselves constantly, we need to honor what we do, honor the horse, honor our team. And so we were so excited to be invited to be here. And I gotta tell you, even though we keep that in mind all the time, it doesn't always go perfectly. Like there was this one time, Sharon does these amazing fundraising events. The largest fundraiser in Denver is called Western Fantasy. It raises over $1 million every year for Volunteers of America, specifically for Meals on Wheels and the Bad Children Shelter, which is amazing. So she rides in a huge ballroom. There are 1,000 people there, and they allow us to practice the day before. And this was when we had Thunder One, who was this big, old, beautiful stallion. And so the day before Western Fantasy, we're practicing, and sometimes he would yank her chain. He just would mess with her. And so he was doing that in the rehearsal, and so I strapped on some of those little English spurs, and I said, next time he does that, just kick him in the belly. And so she did, and he reared straight up. She said, I'm never listening to you again.
Well, now I'll tell a story on him. So when Thunder 1 retired, we put Thunder 2 came on. Thunder 2 there were 3 different horses, 3 different personalities, and let's face it, this is the only job of its kind in the United States. And people, including myself, sometimes don't realize that. And so Thunder 1 had this big, beautiful tail, big, beautiful mane, but he was quite a handful. And so number 2, Annie wasn't sure he was going to make it as a Thunder. And we took him down to the Denver Rescue Mission, and it was because it was so cold, we let the old horse rest at home. And he was standing there, and there was traffic going by, and there was noise, and there was a lot of people coming up to him. And he just stood there, and he told us, I can be the big horse. And so we put him on the field, took 5 games, and 5 of us holding him before he realized that, okay, I can do this. This is really not so scary. Well, Anne was concerned because his tail wasn't as big and as long. And so I said, Annie, it'll grow, it's fine. People don't care about the tail. Well, he takes off down the field after a score, and I see her going, she's turned in the saddle. She's such a great rider. The reins are loose. She's turning in her saddle, and she's going like this. I'm thinking, what the heck's going on? Because I always make sure she gets down safe, and then I run down the sideline. And I see the ref holding a tail. And I see Terry running down the field like this. And as he goes by the ref, he grabs the tail, puts it under his arm.
So she never let me use that again. She never let me use the fake tail. I thought I'd be able to squeak that one by her.
No, we didn't do that again. And so that game, my husband said, you're going to be on the front page of the newspaper because we lost the game and, Broncos lose their tail. Unfortunately, that was the game that Jake Plummer gave the finger to the crowd, and he was on the front page.
Well, just one more little story, and then we'll start into what we really believe is a great theme about things. You see these beautiful videos and beautiful pictures, and we're so proud of this horse and what we get to do. And the majority of time, that's how it is. But every once in a while, we do have these little quirky things that happen. And when we score, I run right down the middle of the field, and then I hop off and we walk Thunder back behind the opposing team's bench. Well, I had a run. I ran down the middle of the field. I hopped off, and usually by the time I'm walking past the opposing team's bench, they're kicking off. Well, they're not kicking off, and the referees are all blowing their whistles, and I'm going, what's going on? What's going on? Well, unbeknownst to me, as I was running down, Thunder let loose a load that spread all over the field. And the opposing player that was to receive the kickoff, he was standing there going, so, shit happens. That's all. Sharon and I were mulling over these stories. We had the best time coming up with this because it gave us an opportunity to go over all these 20 years and 25 years for Sharon of all these great times. So, Sharon, how do we honor the Arabian horse?
Well, community first, and Thunder, as the mascot for the Denver Broncos, has been a natural to work in the community because we take him to a lot of events where there are inner city kids who have never seen a horse, never touched a horse, and have all kinds of questions. And Annie has done such a great job training the Thunders. We can take him through human doors, we can take him into gymnasiums, we can take him just about anywhere. So he has been a real ambassador for horses, and particularly the Arabian breed, because if they've seen horses on TV, they'll say, well, he's really pretty, but he's so pretty, he looks like a girl. Is he a girl? And that's always the first question. And then I always say, well, you can't really have a girl mascot for the Broncos. But one of the first events, Annie was judging one time, and so my husband, who was just, when we first got married, we've been married 13 years now, and he was just getting to know the Arabian horse, and so we had to take Thunder 1, again, a handful, to an event by ourselves at the stadium. And so we had him in the stall, and people were coming up and taking pictures, and this woman came up to Ernie and said, would you take my picture with Thunder? And he said, of course. So he took her picture, and she's looking at the picture, and she said, this is the best day of my life. I got my picture with Thunder. So as she walked away, Ernie said, what kind of life does she have? He just could not understand how this was such a big deal for her to meet Thunder. And so at the games, we have him outside for photographs, and so it's an opportunity for people to come up and meet him. And you all as horse people can appreciate these stories. People will say, is he the horse that runs in the stadium? I'm like, no, we have 2 horses, we're not here. And they're like, well, he looks bigger in the stadium. This is a little guy. And so we are constantly involving him in education with the community. And we've taken him to the Girls and Boys Clubs, parties. There's a list here that I could go on and on, but one of my favorites is the stock show. We took Thunder 3 last year to the stock show. He is going to be the Grand Marshal of the stock show this year, again. Was the Grand Marshal last year. The parade got snowed out, so we didn't get to be in the parade. But last year we decided to do all the appearances, and so we took him into the stock show, and we were doing our normal thing, getting ready, and I asked one of the staffers, I said, so I can be ready with Annie's pictures. How many do we have today? How many kids? And they said 3,500. And Thunder and I looked at each other and went, uh-oh. Now, he is a slow walker. Thunder 3 is, he's really an interesting horse because he's very brave, but he's got his own mind about what he's going to do and what he's going to do sometimes. So, but that day, after 3,500 kids, I was getting him ready to go out, and he was like running me out the aisle. He's like, we're out of here. 3,500 kids. So, community, we've done all kinds of events. We've ridden him in ballrooms. We put him in an elevator at the stadium and take him up on the elevator, and he does a Christmas party for 300 inner city kids. And he looks at me all the time when the kids are poking their fingers up his nose and says, really? This is what I have to do? This is your job, okay. And he goes back to doing his job. But invariably, the question always comes wherever we take him, and we've taken him so many places. What kind of horse is he?
He's an Arabian. Another way that we can honor the Arabian horse is through kindness. So I'm going to put on my judging hat here. I think I have a judging hat on. I love judging so much, and I continually am trying to get better at it. And you here in this body, there's so many of you that are judges that I've had the pleasure and privilege of judging with. I think you're the hardest working. I'm speaking to all you judges out here now. I love my peers, and I think they're the hardest working group of people who are continually trying to educate and then re-educate and then learn another scoring system and then figure out how to tweak that one. So I love us. I have this great story on Richard Petty, my most dear friend, who exhibits kindness to me in such a spectacular way. He was judging a mini show